So the big question is, now moving forward, if Republicans take power again, should we do the same? Should we be throwing, we can make a list, Fauci, all the way to Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland's denying the subpoena. He's not doing the subpoena. So we throw him in jail. Should Republicans play the same game?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I think so. And I definitely am flipping this one to you, Mike. I want your take on it. But yeah, I think so. I mean, we got to use every tactic we can. I think Republicans will. Nah, they're not going to. Republicans just we don't have the heart for it. We just don't have the heart for it. We would never have. And we'll always figure out a way to talk ourselves out of doing something exciting and interesting. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So I don't think we would do it, but of course we should do it. We should hold them to their exact same rules. They're at war with us. Do you need more? Do you need more evidence of this? I mean, they're still locking people up for January the 6th. If you thought about going to January the 6th, then you are not in the clear yet. Once we get the AI chip in our brain, I mean, this is what's happening now. And so if you think that you are somehow going to convince the left to start being reasonable, that's over. It's gone. I'm sorry to say it. I've got small children, as we discuss every time on the show, and I wish that they weren't going to have to grow up in a country like this, but they do. And so our side has got to win. We've got to be the tougher side. So that's it. What's your take?
I think... Well, that's it. And I cede to our conversation with the Gorka man yesterday. Ship needs to be righted. Only one way to right it, unfortunately. And I like Trump's approach to it. It's very, listen, I don't want this to be, who wants this? No one wants this. That's why I didn't do it in 2016. This is terrible what they're doing to me. But I don't know. What are we supposed to do? Like, I think that's the approach. You can't be rabid.
I mean, the problem is
Trump.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, no, you can't be. And I do like the idea of explaining things to people that sound radical and trying to explain it to them to let them know that it's not really that radical. It's what they did to us, and they are breaking laws, and they've gotten away with breaking laws for too long. So we're gonna make an effort to try to stop that. So I do think that there's a way to phrase it in a way where you don't sound like a crazy person, but I think that we should do it. Let me point something else out, which is the other big story of the week, which is Hunter Biden. I mean, we're seeing open and shut stuff. The guy got a gun while he was lied to get the gun, and then his brother's widow, who he was dating because he's a freak, threw the gun in a dumpster. He got her on crack. It's like, if this guy can't go to jail, and this is the smallest infraction that we know about from Hunter. I mean, it's that's right. The corruption that he's engaged in throughout his life is phenomenal. It's unbelievable, the stuff that he's done, and the stuff he's admitted to, and the stuff that we have actual records of, and the stuff that's in the laptop, and all that stuff. This is a minor one. This is the most minor one that we could talk about. And it's still clear, open and shut, and he's not in jail, and he probably won't go to jail for this. I don't think he'll see a day of jail. I want to be clear here. I don't think he will see a day of jail, and that's on Republicans to some degree. But perhaps more interestingly, it is the most compelling evidence that Republicans do not have the ability to beat the Democrats in this lawfare system, is that we continually get our butts kicked by it.
Yeah, form 4473, question 11E. It's like what we got him. I never liked what was the story? Was it Al Capone or whoever that they took down because he, it was like some lame reason. Like, it wasn't for murdering.
Yeah,
people.
It was tax evasion. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, like, I never liked that. I think people always made that as a fun, clever, like a tricky, look how tricky they were and they did it. I was like, I was like, you couldn't get him on the murdering thing? Yeah, right.
That it's really an indictment of wider spread corruption. If you think about it, the Capone example, just shows you how many people he must have paid off who were supposed to be in positions of moral authority in the country. And I think that's a very interesting point you're making. And just because of that one example, that doesn't mean that should be the norm. Maybe that's the exception for, I don't know, the biggest criminal in the country's history, perhaps. Like maybe that's how it worked for that guy. But how about the president's crackhead son, who keeps just trying to come up with creative ways to make money without having to work very hard while he's high on crack? Like, do we have to equate them? Is this the same example? Why don't we just go out and we get the evidence and put him away for all the different frauds that he's perpetrated by using his dad's status in the American government to sell off the American government to foreign businesses and foreign entities, which he's clearly done, and there's tons and tons of evidence to support it. And we just got to figure out a way to go lock him up for it. But there's no interest level. The interest level is so low on the right to get this done, and it's striking to me given what we just saw with Steve.
Yeah, I think Fauci's hearing was on Monday, so COVID's been on my mind. Like, Fauci's such an easy slam dunk one too, but maybe this is Al Capone for him. But there's like clear evidence that he did things to evade FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests. That's a crime. Okay, boom, done. Get him. Crime. Can't do that. Crime. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's many other things we can do too, but like I like these slam dunk easy ones. Like, let's just knock this one out and then move on, and then we can hopefully prevent more of this in the future and right this ship. You emphasized a word earlier, Alex. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, or maybe you were clearing your throat. I'm not sure, but there was a certain word when you were referring to Hunter that you really put a lot of gusto behind.
He's a freak.
Did you get? That would be the word.
Yeah. He's a strange guy. If you think about his life, the fact that Joe calls him the smartest guy he knows, and I'm sure that's true, and you see the way he behaves with prostitutes. I'm shocked he's alive based off of the testimony so far in this trial, because he's waking up and he's doing crack rocks or the size of golf balls. And I just don't know how he's able to function in society and make as much money as he's been able to make. He's been able to make all this money. I mean, if you guys read Breaking Biden and you see how clever the art grift is, it's unbelievable. It's brilliant. It's a stroke of brilliance that he came up with this idea that I am going to paint, and then I'm going to convince my dad to change the laws of the federal government so that foreign agents can send me money for these paintings that are really for favors, and no one will ever be able to connect all the dots on this. The fact that he pulled that off, and not only did he pull it off, he got the New York Times to write a puff piece advertising this business for him, is truly sensational. It's a amazing work of evil genius. And by the way, those of you who've read the book know this. How does he paint, Mike? He paints with a crack pipe. He uses a straw that you would use to snort cocaine, to do his painting. That's what he does. He blows into it to blow the paint. Of course, he uses alcohol-based paint. Of course. It's all trolls, one after the next. This guy is clearly a very bright person. Very, very, very bright. And what he's doing is he doesn't apply himself to reasonable pursuits like getting to know his children, for example. He spends it getting kicked out of famous hotels in Hollywood, trying to keep strippers on his payroll unbeknownst to the public. He does it trying to woo his brother's widow. This is how he spends his time. And then next he's on Air Force Two and he's driving around the world and he's cutting deals. He's the only cool Democrat. There's no Democrat who's cool now. They're all so lame. He's the only one who's cool. I've said this forever, but he's also a freak. He is. He really is. It's not totally negative. It's mostly negative. He's a bad guy. Very, very, very bad guy. And that's clear. He's not just troubled, he's bad. But I will say that there's no doubt about it. He's the smartest Biden that I came across researching the Bidens.
What do we make of this little tabloidy truth that he got with his, not one time, they were in like a proper relationship with his dead brother's wife, and they're smoking crack together. And then like Jill came out with some line like, I'm so glad they found each other. And you're like, oh, where'd they find each other? At like Thanksgiving. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking? Like, this is so super, super weird. And I feel like we're just like over the fact. And like, say what you want about Trump. Like, his family's pretty normal, all things considered. But the Bidens are totally freaked. Like, all of them are super messed up.
Yeah, it is. By Hunter had a quote he told CBS where he hoped that their shared loss would turn into hope for a love that maybe could replace what we lost. I mean, this is grotesque. Like, it is just grotesque that he talks like this. And he sells this to the public so enthusiastically that he's a predator and he preyed on this woman. And for whatever reason, it was just it's a power move over your dead brother. It's so gross. This is a gross, gross individual, but yet he's been completely above the law to this point.
Okay. Hopefully not now. What's your latest on how Trump's been doing in light of conviction? He gave a speech yesterday in Phoenix. Didn't seem to bother him that much. His 34 felony counts.
Sure.
Where are we at?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're starting to get polling data back, see how he's doing. My prediction is he would go up in the polls, but some people who I like quite a bit and I think are very smart, who declared the election was over, I thought they were really overdoing it. And the polling certainly backs me up in the sense that it feels like it's about the same. I think there's a poll or two where it looked like Trump might have backslid a little bit, but for the most part, he's picking up a couple points. But overall, the mystery that we were all trying to figure out after the conviction is which votes does this move? Who does this? Who do these votes? Who's affected by this? And apparently, as of now, the answer is no one. So we don't know yet if it moved the needle at all. So it just turned out to be a big inconvenience for Trump, wasted his time he should have been campaigning. And do not underestimate the Democrats. My last point. They got what they wanted, and it is. We're going to have to wait until November to see if it worked.
On Biden, more clips coming out of him at D-Day yesterday, and just not looking good. He's getting older and older. Where are you on that issue?
Yeah, he doesn't look good. He's very old, but that's not my concern. Trump's quite old. He's obviously more sturdy than Biden, but there's no one who cares passionately about abortion issues and about taking your guns and likes Joe Biden's green policies and believe they need to teach their 4-year-olds how to be anti-racist. None of those people are going to stay home in November. So that's why I feel like we need to continue to make the point that Joe Biden is the most corrupt president we've ever had, and Joe Biden is the most incompetent. And we need to focus on those two things. Stuff like how his executive order on the border is a huge joke. It doesn't deal with parole and asylum reform, which is the main thing. It only deals with between ports of entry. The essence of the crisis at the moment is all these people show up who should have claimed asylum in a different country, namely Mexico. They make it to our ports of entry. They claim asylum or they ask for parole, and they're caught and released into the country, and they get a court date 10 years later that never shows up, and they don't have to be there. None of that's addressed. That's where the focus needs to be. But to answer your question, he looks like he's falling apart. He looks worse than usual. So I'm not in denial of that fact.
Yep. Yes, but they can't be the top priority. Yeah, Trump's been hitting this perfect. In Phoenix, he said, Biden wants an invasion, I want a deportation, and went on with some great stuff. That was highlighted on Breitbart last night.
Yeah.
Alex Marlow, go ahead.
Yeah, I will say Trump is, to connect the last couple of points. I know you got to go, and you've always given me so much nice time here, which I enjoy, Mike, as you know. But yeah, Trump does have this dialed in. He's not. He makes fun of Biden, which is cool and hilarious. But he does not focus on the age stuff, which is smart. Trump's got great instincts on this stuff, and I would trust him on it.